In US presidential elections, the person with the most votes doesn't always win. Confusing, right? Well, the reason is one of the most debated and misunderstood parts of American democracy. It's all about the Electoral College. Let's break it down. First off, the Electoral College isn't a university or a physical place. It's a process, a unique system for selecting the president, built right into the Constitution. It was created as a compromise by the Founding Fathers back in 1787. At the time, they debated fiercely over how to choose the nation's leader. Some delegates argued for a direct popular vote, but others were deeply skeptical. In an era with limited communication and education, they feared a tyranny of the majority, where a charismatic but unqualified candidate could mislead the masses. They also worried that citizens of a large nation wouldn't have enough information to choose a suitable leader. So, what was the alternative? Having Congress choose the president. But that raised its own red flags about corruption and a lack of separation of powers. It could lead to backroom deals and a president who was beholden to the legislature, not the people. Faced with a deadlock, they landed on a complex hybrid solution, the Electoral College. So, here's how it works. The entire system revolves around a group of 538 people called electors. Each state gets a number of electors equal to its number of members in Congress. 2 for its senators, plus 1 for each representative in the House. This is why a populous state like California gets a whopping 54 electors, while a less populated state like Wyoming gets just 3. Add up all the states, plus the 3 electors granted to Washington, D.C. by the 23rd Amendment, and you get that magic number, 538. Now here's the crucial part. In 48 states and D.C., it's a winner-take-all system. If a candidate wins the popular vote in that state, even by a single ballot, they get all of that state's electoral votes. Only 2 states, Maine and Nebraska, do it differently. They use a proportional system, awarding 2 electoral votes to the statewide winner and 1 to the winner of each congressional district. This can result in a split ticket. So, when you cast your ballot on election day, you're not actually voting directly for a presidential candidate. You're voting for a slate of electors chosen by that candidate's party who have pledged to support them. But what if an elector breaks their promise? These are called faithless electors. While rare, and often illegal or subject to fines, it has happened. However, no faithless elector has ever changed the outcome of an election. To win the presidency, a candidate needs to secure an absolute majority of electoral votes. That's 270. But what if no one hits 270? It's rare. But the Constitution has a backup plan. The election goes to the House of Representatives in what's called a contingent election. Here, each state delegation gets 1 single vote to cast for president. The Senate then chooses the vice president. This has only happened twice in US history, most famously in 1824. Let's make it real with a recent example. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the national popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. But Donald Trump won the presidency. How? He secured 304 electoral votes to Clinton's 227 by winning key states, often by very narrow margins. This disconnect between the popular vote and the electoral outcome isn't new. It's happened 5 times in US history. In 1824, 1876, 1888, 2000, and 2016. The candidate who won the popular vote did not win the presidency. Each time, it has sparked intense debate about the fairness and relevance of the system. So, why keep a system that can feel so counterintuitive? Supporters argue the Electoral College is essential for protecting the interests of less populated states. Without it, they say, a candidate could win the presidency by focusing only on a few large, dense cities, effectively ignoring the concerns of rural and small-town America. The system forces candidates to build broad national coalitions across different regions. On the other hand, critics argue the system is fundamentally undemocratic. Because of how electors are allocated, a single vote in a small state like Wyoming carries more mathematical weight in the presidential election than a single vote in a large state like Texas or California. This leads to the phenomenon of swing states versus safe states. Candidates pour almost all of their campaign resources and attention into a handful of competitive battleground states. while voters in reliably Republican or Democratic states are often ignored, making their votes feel less impactful. So, whether you see it as a brilliant safeguard of federalism or an outdated, undemocratic relic, the Electoral College remains the system that decides the American presidency. It's complex, it's controversial, and it shapes our elections in profound ways. But understanding how it works, that's the real power.